I only read 8 books in the month of August. And honestly, I kind of enjoyed slowing down and really getting into the stories. In this August 2025 reading wrap up, I'll be sharing 8 books by Black authors across historical fiction, urban romance, and urban fiction. I'll get into what stood out, what surprised me, and what I recommend for your TBR. Let's get into it. My name is Raquel. Welcome and welcome back. So, book number 1 is called Blood Slaves by Marcus Redmond. So, this book, I believe it came out in June. I did talk about it it came out in July, and I talked about it in June. So, I have been anticipating this book since June. And it stood out, but not kind of as good as I thought it was going to be. So I found out for me, I don't mind horror, but I don't like blood and guts. So this was a black vampire historical fiction. And it is about a guy named Rafizi, who is the last of the Ramungan tribe, which is a black vampire tribe. And he is enslaved along with another guy named Willie. And Willie is married and he has a baby on the way. There's an incident that happened, and Rafizi is trying to convince. He shows who he really is to Willie, and tells him that he can get revenge on everybody who enslaved, all of the enslavers, and that all he has to do is become a vampire. And not only that, if he can convince other people to become vampires, they can build an army, and then there would be no more slavery, and they could get revenge on all the people who enslaved them. And so Willie is kind of like, yeah, that sounds good. But his wife is like, are you crazy? That does not sound good. And so basically that is what it's about. It's about Willie convincing other people to become vampires, and kind of what they have to go through to get this done, because not only Rafizi is in human form, but in order for him to be strengthened, he needs blood, and he can use animal blood, but he wants human blood. And so that's something else that they are going about doing. And that blood and guts thing, I put this book down so many times. Not only did I put it down, I think I skipped over some stuff. I was kind of like, woo, like, it's like I'm like, yeah, nope, I'm not into that. But the story itself was good from what I know, because like I said, I did skip a little bit. I can't do it. From what I could see, I felt like, the story itself was good. I just didn't like the blood and guts. I would give it like a 4. And book number 2 is called Anywhere You Run. It is by Wanda M. Morris. I have read this book before. This book, this time me and my husband read it together. And it is about 2 sisters who are running away from 2 different things at the same time. One sister is pregnant and she is running away from public shame. The other sister was attacked and she unalived a white man. This is in the Jim Crow South in the 1950s or 60s, something like that. So she is really running for her life. And so if you really want to know what I thought, or sort of like a review, I do have a review on my channel about this, so I'm not going to get too much into it. You are welcome to watch it on that video. Then we have Unsettled by Anya Mathis. So Unsettled is about this lady named Ava. So Ava and her husband is separated due to a misunderstanding, and as a result of being separated from this man, Ava and her 11-year-old son is homeless. There's a series of situations that happens where she winds up in this community called ARC. Now, ARC is a community of black people with this radical black mindset, and they want to do things like help other people without them having to pay. They raise their own vegetables. The thing is, they just really don't kind of have the funds to do all the things that they want to do. On the other hand, Ava was also raised in a community similar but different from this community ARC. She was raised in a place called Bonaparte, which is an all-black town. Back when she was a kid, it was alive and thriving. At this point in her life, it has kind of dwindled, and it's kind of on its last leg. There is a scam going on that is trying to take the other portion of the land from her mother. Well, Ava doesn't know this because once she left home, she really doesn't communicate with her mother a lot. It's kind of like, hey, you okay? Yeah, you okay? I'm okay. We're okay? Okay, bye. So that's kind of the only thing they kind of know about each other. So she doesn't know the troubles her mother is having. Her mother doesn't know the trouble she's having. But at some point they will come together. And poor little Toussaint, he is the only one who seems to have a real good grasp of what's actually happening. It was good. There was nothing really exciting about this story for me. Nothing stood out. Nothing really popped like, ooh, wow. But it was a good book. I would give this a 4 as well. 3.5, 4. Yeah. And then we have Time's Undoing. Time's Undoing was so good. So good. I enjoyed this. So I'm the type of person who always wants to know what's going to happen next. Now, I don't want to be told what's going to happen next. I want to guess what happens next and be right. And so to read this book, which is a historical mystery thriller, and it turned out to be a mystery, and I'm trying to figure out who did it, where they do it, why they do it, is it this person, that, you know, just all the little things that are happening. I truly enjoyed that. Oh my God, I enjoyed it so much. So it is about so there's a young lady, her name is Mackenzie. Mackenzie is a journalist, and she has a great-grandfather who something happened to him 100 years ago. So this is 2020, excuse me, this is 2019, and this happened in 1919. So in 1919, her great-grandfather and her great-grandmother, and her grandmother as a child, moved to, I think, Alabama, for her great-grandfather to take this job on. And he goes there, he takes the job on, they're living there, and something happens to the great-grandfather, but nobody knows. So there was no body. They believe he died, but they never found the body. They don't know who did it. They don't know how he died. None of that. And so she has convinced her job, which is the newspaper, to allow her to go to Alabama and check the story out. Not only allow her, but to actually finance it. So they are paying for her room and board and all these things while she's down there doing it. Now, she was working on a Black Lives Matter movement story, and this is how she kind of got them to do it, because she weaved in her grandfather's story into this, and she had a whole little presentation, and they went for it. So the only thing that I did not like about this story is that realistically, they did not talk about the Black Lives Matter movement. They only kind of mentioned it. And I felt like because they mentioned it, I would have liked for them to, give me more about it. Like, just something. And they didn't. But other than that, I loved this story. It was so good. It was, the grandfather was telling his story while she's doing the investigating, and they're both happening at the same time, and I really enjoyed that about the book too. So I said I was going to stop giving out my 5 stars all willy-nilly, so I'm going to give this a 4.5. I enjoyed it. And then next I read Meek by Estevan. So I started out with Meek, and somewhere in the middle of Meek I stopped. I started reading something else and I came back to it. So Meek is about 2 teenagers, well, 2 kids who grow up and both of their parents are neglectful. So these kids have to scrounge and steal for food, and they're sleeping in a mess basically, and they grow up, they become teenagers. And so Meek is the boy and Keisha's the girl. Keisha gets taken away from her mom, and these 2 get separated. They're best friends. As time goes on, they're both doing, living their life, and they bump back into each other as young adults. So they are both with somebody else, but this is kind of when they realize that not only are they friends, but they actually have feelings for each other. This is like a friends to lovers story. And so they go on with this story. They're both with people, and it's friends to lovers, so at some point they get together, right? But I enjoyed the story, and I had to come back to it and kind of reread it, because in the middle I stopped and I read Maybe for the Summer. Oh my God. I have been waiting for about 2 months to read Maybe for the Summer. I read A Date with the Mayor as preparation to read Maybe for the Summer. A Date for the Mayor is a novella, and I wanted to kind of get a sense of Aubrey Penn's writing because I had never read anything by her first, so I wanted to read a novella. I read maybe A Date for the Mayor. I did not really like it, and so it made me leery about reading Maybe for the Summer. So for whatever reason, this particular day I pick it up, and I enjoyed that book so much. Like I said, I'm not giving away my 5 stars all willy-nilly, but this was definitely a 4.5. If I could, I would give it a 5 star, but I'm holding on to them for that. Like, when I say it's a 5 star, then it's going to be fire. So I'm going to give this a 4.5 as well. This was so good. It is about a guy who is a rapper. He gets dropped from his record label. The girl, she gets fired from her job. Her parents call her home. They have a business, like a concierge business or a PR business, something to that effect. And they help celebrities. And so they are both in Jamaica, and she is helping him to kind of clean up his image, take his business to the next level, not only like take his career to the next level, and open up businesses, like get his team in order, just elevate his whole whatever he got going on. And he has some either mental or emotional issues. I'm not sure what it is, because I don't recall them saying specifically what it was. But she knows how. Well, first, let me start. She's a boss in what she does. Her job, she's good at her job. She is number 1, top tier. So I appreciate that very much about her. And then not only that, he wants to, do a little something extra. And she's like, no, we're going to keep it professional. and I'm gonna do my job. Of course, we know, what happens next, but she cares for him. She takes care of him. She knows how to smooth out his ruffled edges. Um, she is amazing. Not only that, he cares for her. He's watching her. He's paying attention. He knows she's good at her job because she neglects herself. Because she neglects herself, that is where he picks up her slack. So these two are the perfect complement for each other. And this is one of those where you got a man who is loving his woman properly. I enjoyed this book. It is definitely up there. So I'm going to give it a 4.5. And then I went back to read Meek, and I was looking at him sideways because of the way I felt about Maybe for the Summer. And I was like, wait a minute. I got to go back and reread this because I don't want to base what I'm feeling about this book on what I read in a different book. And so I went back and I kind of reread, and I'm like, okay, everybody got a little flaws, a little something happening, but Meek was a good dude. And so after that, I read another good book. Now, the two standout books were Maybe for the Summer and Law by Diamond Johnson. Now, this was my first book by Diamond Johnson. I had never read any Diamond Johnson. I was talking to someone in the comments. They said they read the whole catalog, and I'm like, they read the whole catalog? If you read the whole catalog, then it's gotta be good. So I go and just pick the first book that comes to, the first book I see. And oh my God, another man who is treating his woman right. Like, I love that. And so this one is about a guy named Law. His name is Seven. He is an attorney. He grows up. His father was a D-boy and his father's best friend. These are the two biggest guys in their city, which is Miami. And his father gets killed. He goes through some ups and downs, and then he winds up with his father's best friend, Dutch, who raises him into a man. So all the things that he taught him as, growing up, he implemented these things, and he takes it seriously. He loves this man like a father. He has 2 kids. The way he raises his kids, the same thing he implements into his sons. He is, making sure that his sons are growing up to be top tier men. His wife, he cares for her, takes care of her. Actually, they're not even married anymore. They are divorced, and he still is taking care of this woman, okay? She's cool. Like, I don't know. She kind of got on my nerves a bit because everything, she's crying for this and she's crying for that, and I guess that might be what you get to do when you're in a house full of men, or when you have men taking care of you, because even though they're divorced, he still takes care of her. And then she has 2 twin boys that are teenagers, and they really love and care for their mom. So I guess maybe you get to cry at the drop of a hat. That kind of irritated me, but not irritated me in the sense that I didn't like the book. It just irritated me because, I don't know, you got to be irritated about something in order for it to be a good book, right? But yeah, and then there was another thing happening in the book. There's this guy named Reggie, and Reggie was like everybody's favorite rapper where they live. He is a big deal, and everybody likes him and knows him. He winds up going to jail. And Law is the guy who goes to jail, Reggie, his mom calls Law and says, hey, I need you to defend my son because he's got this perfect track record. He is that dude. And so he goes to defend him. Something happens, and so now he's not defending him. But what it reminds me of is how people get in other people's business, start talking, don't know what they're talking about, and make a big deal. And now stuff is blown out of proportion. And that's basically what happened with this particular situation. He decided not to represent him as his lawyer. Somebody comes in and says something or another, and now everybody's in an uproar. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be, because nobody really knows what happened except for the two people, which is Reggie and Law. And this was a great book. It is, there's another series coming out, and that would be my only two gripes about this. Was that number one, his wife cried too much. I can't remember her name. She cried at the drop of a dime. And then that I have to wait on book number 3. So I am waiting for Heavy is the Crown Part 3 and Law Part 3. I ate these two books up so quick. Like, as soon as I finished book 1, I dove directly into book 2, and it was just as good as book 1. Sometimes book 1 can be good and book 2 can kind of just be like alright, but it like totally flowed in. Everything was perfect. It was no difference. I mean, it continued the story. It didn't, as far as my excitement for the book, it didn't go down. I enjoyed this. So the two best books for the month of August was Maybe for the Summer and Law. Maybe for the Summer by Aubrey Penn and Law by Diamond Johnson. The book that I liked the least out of all of these was probably Blood Slaves. And that was because I didn't realize the blood and gore and all of that stuff. I don't know why not. Like, that's what vampires do, right? But I don't know, reading it and watching it is kind of two different things for me. What I love so much about reading is just that I get to use my own imagination, as opposed to, I think, on TV you are filtering your imagination through somebody else's imagination. And so trying to read this, I was like, oh no, I'm skipping over this. That is my wrap up for the month of August. 8 books that really gave me a chance to slow down, get into the story. I would love to know, did any of these catch your eye? Are you planning to read any one of these books? Have you read any one of these books? And what was your favorite book for the month of August? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And do all of the YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Until next time, see you soon.